The United Nations Security Council has approved a resolution bringing new sanctions against North Korea. The set of mainly economic measures are a response to the underground nuclear test carried out by Pyongyang last month. They are also aimed at forcing North Korea to return to negotiations over its controversial nuclear program. For more details, we can now cross live to our correspondent, Anastasia Churkina. Hello to you, Anastasia. Tell us more about these sanctions. Are they being viewed at the UN as strict or soft?
Well, Yulia, the resolution adopted by the United Nations Security Council unanimously is a clear condemnation, of course, of North Korea's nuclear activity. And what it does is it imposes new additional sanctions to the measures that already exist in the two previous resolutions on North Korea. And the goal of this resolution is to derail North Korea of its nuclear and missile programs. And exactly what it does is that it expands an arms embargo by banning arms exports. And an interesting additional new measure is that it allows the search of suspicious vessels on the high seas. However, this resolution is in no way an economic embargo. It does not get in the way of normal trade with North Korea. And this was a very important point for Russia in this text. Let's take a listen to what the Russian ambassador to the UN had to say on that.
Additional sanctions against North Korea are tightly linked with attempts to stop the country's activity in creating nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. At the same time, they do not restrict people's rights to humanitarian and economic support. The important part of the resolution is what Russia has always insisted on, that no sanctions can be applied through the use of military force.
Well, now, the United States delegation has already referred to this resolution as unprecedented, and the Western media has sort of tried to blow it up as the strictest and toughest resolution on North Korea so far, but that is not exactly the case. The reason for that is basically that this is in no way an economic embargo, like we've said, and Russia made it very clear, and it pushed in this text, that a use of force cannot be considered as a measure against North Korea. And this is a very important point because the United States and Japan have, they seem to have been interested in this to be included in the resolution behind closed doors during negotiations, but this has not been included. And another important point that Russia has made sure is made in this resolution is that if North Korea complies with the resolution and listens to the international community, there may be the sanctions that have been imposed may be held off and lifted. And this is also a very important point. So this is a very balanced resolution. It's not exactly as strict as some might want to see it.
So, Anastasia, since the resolution has now been adopted, what will happen next?
Well, Yulia, again, the Security Council has said that if North Korea listens, these measures may be held off and lifted. However, North Korea, in recent reports, has already suggested that it may be preparing another nuclear test, and it has said that pressure from the international community would be seen as a sign of war. And the Security Council, of course, has made it very clear, especially today, that this kind of high rhetoric is not what it wants to see, and the final goal of this resolution is to eventually get North Korea back to the negotiating table, something which it has avoided. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens and what next steps North Korea is going to take.
Our correspondent Anastasia Churkina reporting from New York. Thank you very much for this indeed.